This is MSP Confessions, and it is time to say the quiet parts out loud.
Tim Conkle, CEO of the 20. I typically dream 10 years ahead, going to a second story of a house. You can't skip 7 steps without probably busting your ass. So if you reframe failure, it's not failure at all, it puts steps forward, because no failure means you're stuck. In this industry, people follow the wrong people. If you want to build a $10 million company, you can't sit in a peer group of $1 million companies. Quitting is the only failure that you can't recover from. I've preached this for a long time. Better together. If you're together, though, you can't have all kings. I think MSPs have to choose to be rich or be a king. The largest inhibitor of wealth in the MSP space is kingship. Why do you care about your family 1,000 years from now? And I said, because nobody else will. Somebody has to start. Same with business. You have to start.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the very first episode of MSP Confessions. And I am incredibly grateful and super proud and excited to sit down with Tim Conkle of the 20. And just as you have found, as I've said, what the MSP Confessions show is going to be about, what the purpose of it is tapping into the soul of MSPs. So I'm sort of putting my hat back on of the 18-year MSP guy. I've asked Tim to put his MSP hat back on, and we're just going to have a conversation about essentially the shit that goes on inside our heads that we only know and we only experience when we're doing it as an MSP. Because there's a lot of shit out there, and there's a lot of expectations, and a lot of you should do it this way and you should do it that way. And a lot of that content comes from people who haven't had to sit in the seat and face what we face as MSPs. And so, Tim, why don't you do a quick introduction for yourself, and then we'll dive in.
Yeah. Tim Conkle, CEO of the 20. I've been in this industry, in the IT space, for over 30 years. So there's a lot to unpack, I bet.
Yeah, and that's actually one of the reasons why I was really excited to use this as the springboard for this conversation is I think one of the things that oftentimes get overlooked in our industry is the facade of the channel, if you want to call it that, right? So there's the vendor piece, there's the MSP piece, there's the clients that MSP serve, and then collectively we have this thing called the channel, which has communities and other things built into it. But along the way, like the spirit or the essence of the MSP itself seems like it gets a little watered down, or like the value proposition got fucked up along the way. And the MSPs became the thing to extract value from rather than pour value maybe back into.
Yeah.
And the thing that I like about your story the most, and I'd ask you to tell a little bit of it too, is going from Roland Technology into what then became the 20. Outside looking in, I read that through this lens of someone who probably felt some of that same angst about, I have a vision, I have an idea, I have a purpose. A lot of people are telling me to do things a lot of different ways.
Yeah.
And yet you've built now the career and the legacy so far out of what I would consider to be bucking the system and truly doing it your own way. So what had to change, or what part of yourself did you almost have to kill or allow to unlearn to really trust your gut and move forward with what you knew to be true innately versus everything that the echo chamber taught you?
It's kind of weird. I don't listen to a lot of the noise.
Yeah.
And so, obviously, when I bought Roland Technology in 1992, I had no earthly idea that I would be here. Mm-hmm. I knew one thing. I knew I'd be successful. Mm-hmm. Why? Because it's built into me. I mean, my dad built this into us. But if you go back to 1992, I buy a small IT company, build white boxes.
Yeah.
You know, that's back in the day, Lantastic and Nobel Light.
Right.
Windows wasn't even out.
Yeah, you're doing token ring installs and stuff.
Yeah, I mean that's almost mind-boggling.
Yeah.
That in my lifetime I've seen more technology shifts. Mm-hmm. I mean, pagers to cell phones.
Yeah.
But really, to be honest with you, I don't know why my mind works this way. I typically see positive, not negative, which means risk is funny because I don't really see risk. Mm-hmm. I just see the dream, the do. And I think a lot of people and it's gotten hard. Back in 1992, if you had an IT company, you worried about one real thing, as far as bad shit, right?
Yeah.
And that was you put antivirus on a machine, and it kind of took care of everything, but it didn't wreck everything.
Right.
It's hard being an MSP today
Yeah.
because of all the liabilities that are stacked on top of just the stress of trying to build a business.
Yeah.
It's tough.
Right.
And the weird part is, community is a funny thing for me because obviously we all come together, we all talk, we all do those things. But really, this is an individual sport.
Yeah.
I mean, it really is. I mean, we're all playing for a team.
Right.
Now, we may go to conferences and we mingle with people and we do all those things, but at the end of the day,
Right.
it's you.
Yeah.
And what you become is you.
Right.
It's you can't point at a vendor and say, well, if I hadn't have, you wouldn't be anywhere if you hadn't have took those steps. And so I typically am not a blamer. I mean, I've tried lots of things. Some things didn't work.
Right.
But if I had tried them, I wouldn't have tried the next thing.
Sure.
And so looking all the way back, it's been a crazy, 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 crazy ride. And again, I typically dream 10 years ahead.
Right.
Well, in 1992, I wasn't dreaming of the 20.
Yeah.
I was dreaming of paying my bills,
Right.
having extra money. I was dreaming of not worrying about payroll anymore.
Yeah.
All the things that a little small MSP, and I say MSP tongue in cheek because there was no such thing as an MSP back then, but it was just me and one other guy. And I think a lot of people think, they may see me at a conference, they see me walking around and they say, oh wow, that guy's successful. And they don't see anything behind that.
Right. Yeah.
But the reality, the true reality is, they're exactly where I was. There is nobody in this industry that's not going to step in the footsteps that I stepped in if they get to where I am.
Right. That was a huge lesson that I learned coming up through the space as well, because I wasn't an owner in MSP until like my last sprint, right? And so I was an employee of every MSP I worked for those 18 years. But I sat in a lot of seats. I was fortunate to spend 12 probably of those 18 years on or in leadership teams or in leadership positions. And so similarly, like how shit rolls uphill and you just have to kind of figure it out when you have no business figuring any of it out. Like it really is just what information do I have and what's the best decision I can make in this moment and, defend it tomorrow, even if the context changes. And the being able to zoom out now and look at it from a macro and then go back into the micro, the most powerful lesson I've learned through what I hear you describing is you can't be afraid to start and to default to action, right? Like the fear really doesn't go away necessarily. It's just there. And so you can label it whatever you want. You can use it however you might, but defaulting to action and then not stopping.
I think if you reframe, it's kind of like going to a second story of a house. You can't skip 7 steps without probably busting your ass, right? So if you reframe failure, and it's not failure at all, it's footsteps forward,
right?
Because no failure means you're stuck. You're not moving. So I've always, and I think probably my dad had a lot to do with this, in always just moving forward.
Yeah.
And you might zigzag to where you're going. It's never a straight line. But I think most people are scared to death of failure. And I think the second part they're scared to death of, or I say they're scared of, in this industry, people follow the wrong people.
Yeah. Right.
If you want to build a $10 million company, you can't sit in a peer group of $1 million companies.
Right. Yeah.
Why? Because you're all at the same spot. You can't buy your way to that space either, because if you don't learn the things that it takes to become or move from 1 to 5 million, and you just said, oh, I'm going to go buy a $1 million company, it's going to go backwards.
Yeah.
Why? Because you don't have any of the pieces.
Yeah. What I oftentimes see specifically in that, let's call it the sweet spot of MSPs, right? So 80% of them are, let's call it sub 1.5 million and sub 15 employees. And as a result of that size, they have enough of the pieces to have gotten to where they are. They've tried a lot of other pieces that maybe didn't bolt on quite right, and yet they haven't been able to get over that last little hump of inertia. If you, again, rewind a bit to when you were staring down the barrel of growing Roland even, what do you feel you did? If you had to like pull it down into maybe a 3-piece recipe even, like what beliefs did you have, what decisions did you make, or what actions were you taking to truly commit to growth that then built?
So for me, it was a massive shift at a moment in time.
Okay.
What was the moment in time? Well, if you look at Roland Technology in '92, my single goal was to get to $1 million revenue. I think when I bought it, it had a couple $100,000.
Sure.
Now I tell people all the time, quitting is the only failure that you can't recover from.
Yeah.
That's it. So a lot of people would look at me now and say, oh, wow, I bet he knocked it out of the park. I bet he walked in there and that revenue just started flowing, and Tim, the way he sells and all.
Yeah.
No, it took me 18 years.
Right.
In the 18th year, I figured out really how to grow. I did 2 things. 2 years previous to that, I got off the island. You have to have other people around you. If you think you're going to build a great company just in a corner with no input or no push from inside the community itself,
Right.
that's the hardest thing in the world to do. So I get off the island, which spurred my own brain.
Right.
And then, like I say, in the 18th year, figured out how to add $1 million a year after that.
Yeah.
And I've never had a sub-$1 million year since my 18th year in business. Yeah. And it's funny now, last quarter, we did 12 million plus in new MRR. That's basically whatever it was times 36 months is about 12 million bucks. If you'd have asked me at the 17th year, do you think there'll come a time where you no longer think in terms of millions, but now you think in terms of 50 million, 100 million, 200 million? I'd have been like, no.
Yeah.
That's creeping too far forward. I think people need to live in the now. I tell a motorcycle story at Propel. I tell people, you have to find where you are, you have to find where you're going, and you have to find whether it's worth it. Once you can do those 3 things, the only thing that really creates true failure means you're done, is quitting.
Right. There's something I want to unpack there, because I know we've had a lot of conversations, but there's a couple of things visually that always anchor in my mind of things that you say. And I might butcher this one, so you can say it how it really is in that lens, but I'm interested to decouple the analogy from an MSP who's considering like rolling up into the 20, because I think the mindset's going to be the same for that same MSP that's just struggling to get over the hump, and that is that you can either be right or you can be rich, or king or rich.
You can be king or rich.
Talk through that, because I feel like, again, whether it's an MSP considering a roll-up or an MSP struggling to get past $1 million in revenue, which is, again, where most of them are, I think that illustration, but also the mindset change that's inside of that, is so valuable for someone who truly listens close enough to hear it.
Yeah. You know, it's funny, do you want to be rich or a king? MSPs, I've preached this for a long time, better together.
Yeah.
Right? If you're together, though, you can't have all kings.
Right.
And so I think MSPs have to choose to be rich or be a king. King is, I want to be the owner of my company. I want to be the grand poobah.
Right.
The problem is, you know, it's funny, if you really look historically back in time at history, what you'll find is there's been lots of kings.
Yeah.
Some kings were the kingdom of themselves. I mean, they might have had 100 people or 10 people in some cases.
2 didn't really matter, right?
2.
Yeah.
Or a man in his house, right? He's a king of his domain.
Sure.
In business, being a king means you have to give up a lot of stuff. Opportunity. Why? Because if you're the king, you're not going to succumb to somebody else's thing. And so it's really cool to have And rich is kind of a nasty word to a lot of people.
Yeah.
You know, you can even see wealthy in it. It's like, that's, you know, I'm not building a company to be
Right.
What are you building it for?
Yeah.
I mean, yes, we want to take care of customers. Yes, we want to do all that stuff. But I do think the largest inhibitor of wealth in the MSP space is kingship. People want to walk around. They want to talk about,
Yeah.
I own this. This is my company. But think for a minute, though. Think about a guy that walks around $1 million, and I'm not downing a $1 million company. It's a great achievement.
Yep.
It's an incredible achievement. But you can walk around and you can be king of that $1 million. But wouldn't it be cooler to walk around and say, hey, I am part of a $100 million MSP?
Yeah.
I own equity and we're building this together. And I think the essence of that gets lost somewhere in this idea that I don't want to work for somebody, which is an oxymoron by far, because you don't start a business and not work for people.
Right. Yeah, it's just who you
If
work
it's a people
for.
business.
Sure.
I'm going to sell service to somebody,
Yeah.
but I don't want any bosses.
And you know what's fascinating about that too is how close to the origin story for every MSP that same decision point is anyway, right? Most MSPs start, I guess my word's not theirs, but they start because they didn't want to work for somebody else. They were good enough with people, and they could ask for money well enough to at least get a couple people to give it to them. But so I could actually see where, if they fast forward however long it is, whether it's 18 years or 3, whatever, where you sort of get faced with that existential crisis, because we're really talking about identity in that case, right? And to the identity component, because I think it probably is laced through everything as well, the thing that has resonated most out of all of the content that I put out was essentially one sentence that you stated on the show as well, and that is that egos are the most, well, it was about ego, and I'll let you say it because it's your soundbite. But
so ego is the most expensive thing that a human being owns. Yeah. Now go back to the king or rich. It's an ego that keeps you king.
Yeah.
You know, it's not the love of people. It's not the love of the game. It's not the love of the business.
Yeah.
It's internalized. It's mine. This is mine. And I know of many people that if you looked at time, they succeeded faster than I did.
Yeah.
Cool part is this is not a game of looking at yesterday and saying, okay, 18 years. This is a game that you look forward in, because I can go back to those same people, and this is not to do anything more than saying there's plenty of time.
Yeah.
And don't think because, I've been doing this for 15 years and I haven't made it. I did it for 18 and didn't make it. But if you really look, most of my wealth has been created in the last 3 years. I'm talking about in the MSP space.
Right.
Now, we had another company that we sold that was really, really good. But if you look at MSP, the real wealth accumulation has really happened for me and the other people that have rolled up with me in the last 3 years.
Yeah.
It's nuts.
Right. And there's a psychological fallacy in, like you mentioned earlier, right? People can look at you now and just be like, well, you just crushed it, or you hit it, or you struck big, or like there's
lucky.
All these things that
he was lucky.
Right.
Hey, Tim, I mean that guy, the personality, there was no way shit. It doesn't have anything to do with any of those things.
Yeah. And it's that kind of going back to the principles, right? You have to be willing to start, ruthlessly honest with yourself about reality, I think is the other component. To your point about failure, it's not about failure, it's about iteration. It's about progress. It's about maybe the goal, the vision that you have, which maybe brings us to one of the other topics that you and I've broached a couple of times when it came up. Is another thing I noticed working through peer groups, because you did mention community. I'll tie a couple things together. Community, I think, is huge. Where I got the most growth and expansion personally and professionally was also by getting outside of the 4 walls of my MSPs and going to peer groups. Not because of the peer group, but because of the peers. I think they're a bit skewed sometimes too anymore, because again, it's value extraction versus value input. But it was the peer relationships, and then that gave perspective, and then perspective changed worldview, and then worldview changed beliefs and thoughts and actions, and so it was pretty cyclical. I think community, peer groups, however it is definitely undervalued by many of the MSPs, and can be intimidating because it's like walking into a cafeteria at high school, right? Like you don't quite know, but I think you made a good point as well of being intentional about the room you want to be in.
Yep.
And then find that room in those people. Also, that success leaves clues, right? You mentioned that there's not a single person in this event that isn't stepping in the same footsteps.
Yeah. And I talk a lot about ego because I think ego is really important. I think a lot of people don't come to peer groups or they don't connect to them.
Yeah.
Because one, they're too good for them, or second, they may think I'm better.
Yeah.
I don't need a peer group.
Right.
Which is a weird thing, man. Again, I do a lot of we're better together stuff, right? And I use this because I was a preacher at one point.
Yeah.
I preached to 10,000 people, so I know how to move people.
Sure.
But moving people and moving people is two different things.
Yeah.
You can get people to rock to the beat of the music. You can't get them to go dance.
Right.
In other words,
Yeah.
there's a big difference between the 2 points. But I always tell people we're better together, and it's a God thing. So I believe in God. So you'll hear me talk about God.
Yeah.
In the Old Testament, where the flood has happened, and Noah, the floods receded, and they get back on land and they start repopulating the earth, and all these humans get this idea, we're going to build this tower. It goes all the way to heaven in case God ever floods the earth again. We just climb to the top. God sees this, and he confuses the people with language. By the way, AIs. Oh, I could tell you some things about that would blow your mind AI-wise, but I got to stay on point or I'll go everywhere.
Right.
But God sees it, and he says, I'm going to confuse them. I'm confusing them with language. And the Bible says, lest they do anything that they can imagine. Anything man could imagine together, right?
Yeah.
Is possible.
Right.
So God confuses them. Why? Because I don't know.
Yeah.
But he does.
Yeah.
But the principle of that is, if people get together, it's powerful. They can do anything they can imagine.
Right.
Now, individualized, separated, just weak people.
Yeah. The thing that crystallized that for me was reading the thick version of The Laws of Success by Napoleon Hill. It's like a 120-year-old book or something. I mean, it's inches thick, but one of the principles he broke down studying Henry Ford and Carnegie and all those folks was the concept of mastermind. And in his terminology or definition, mastermind was just two or more people that came together with the common cause and the clear vision and commitment and belief and all the pieces that go into that. But to your point, if you can dream it,
you can do it.
You can do it.
And the funny thing is if you take one person, right? You have the magic of one.
Right.
You take two, you have the magic of two, 3, 4, 5. Once you multiply magic being what people are naturally great at.
Yeah.
I'm great with people. Some people are not.
Yeah.
So if you had a non-people person and he wanted to build a business, best thing he'll ever do is find a people person to couple with.
Yeah.
So now I've covered the people side and I've covered the non-people side. And that's the power of peer groups. It's not so much the social aspect of, we get together and afterwards we go have a drink.
Yeah.
It's the combined mind knowledge that creates magic, which in return creates the great trick, versus an illusion. And that's the single mind that tells himself that I have everything that I need nothing else. Probably the greatest thing I've ever done in business is because early on in business you micromanage. I'm just telling you got your finger in everything. Now I don't know all my employees.
Right.
I mean, I don't make day-to-day decisions. I have literally delegated that
Right.
because that's how you multiply magic. And I roll it back to, that's what happens when companies roll up together.
Yeah.
They put the combined magic of the whole. I mean, I'm telling you, creates great tricks.
Right.
If you listen to the industry, they'll say Tim created a great trick that looks nothing like anybody else.
Yeah.
Right?
Did the concept of Better Together,
Yeah.
did that grow or start sort of post-Roland into the 20 and what you're building, or was that something that you discovered on Locked Uncovered when you were building Roland as a company?
I only had one other guy.
Yeah.
So I don't know that I gave it a lot of thought.
Yeah.
But I can tell you, I definitely changed as I went through it, because you start believing that some people are smarter than you are,
Yeah.
especially in their magic. I'm telling you, there is a lot smarter people than Tim Conkle,
Yeah.
right? In their magic.
In their magic, yeah.
Not in mine, though.
Right.
In my magic, I'm really, 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 really good.
Yeah.
I have confidence in that, not ego, but confidence.
Sure.
Because I can bring my part to the table and mix it with the other parts, and you see the result now.
Yeah.
I mean, the 20 is the most, probably no one have ever dreamed something like the 20 would happen. No PE backing.
Sure.
Guy builds a platform company that's up with the big, probably top 10 platform companies
Yeah, that are there.
that exist, with no outside real influence outside of just MSPs coming together, flipping it backwards and integrating before we buy. I mean, the whole thing, I'll never forget, I told somebody this idea, and they said it'll never work.
Yeah.
Never let anybody else judge your dream.
Yeah. I think that's some of the best challenging outside opinion I ever got about a lot of things too, SIFT
Yeah.
included, right? There are
Yeah.
a lot of people in my life that were, that'll never work, or why would you do that, or why take
Yeah.
the risk, or why do these things? And it's like, well, now all you've done is flip on the watch me switch, right? You tell me I can't do something, watch,
Yeah,
right? Now it may not look the same by the time I get done, but it wouldn't have looked the same if I never started either. And there's so much power in that, and not from a place of I told you so, but from a place of love still.
Yeah.
But it's like, watch me.
I'll tell you, when I was looking at Roland Technology, my wife was pregnant with my oldest son, and her mother begged me, literally begged me, do not do it, do not do it, do not do it.
Yeah.
Why? Because I had a great job. I made great money, I had great insurance, and here I was going to jump out into the unknown world of
Yeah.
how are we going to do this and how are we going to do that and all that. And don't get me wrong, there was a point in time where if I had $20 in my bill phone, I would take my wife to Jack in the Box or Burger King.
Yeah.
And that was like a highlight.
Right.
I look back, and you know, there's other MSPs out there right now that are in that place.
Right.
And I would say you have to, Maddie, you know, she went to dinner with us last night,
Yeah.
and I complimented her with, she is one of the most appreciative persons of life and
Yeah.
food and stuff like that I've ever met in my life.
Yeah.
And it's refreshing, but that's how you have to be. I was truly appreciative of the fact that, and maybe it was a little bit of being naive or whatever it is, or not knowing, but through time, it changes from $20 to
Right.
now you 100, and then
Yeah.
it's 10,000 means nothing,
Right.
and then it's 100,000 means nothing.
Sure.
I say that to say there's light at the end of the tunnel if you make the right decisions.
Yeah. And the other thing that I would highlight there too is you don't have to spend the next 10 or 15 or 20 years, I mean, even the next day, trying to solve the problem that someone else has already solved.
Yeah.
Right? I think that's one of the things that I've learned once I got to the outside and was able to like reflect back on
Yeah.
my time, my journey on MSP, it was like, God damn, did I spend a lot of time trying to come up with a solution to a problem that someone else had already solved versus taking their solution and spending all that time implementing it. And that was a huge unlock, I guess you could say, because it also affected how I looked at people as it relates to building a team now.
Yeah.
And you talk a lot about magic. The language we usually use internally when we're building SIFT is like we look for the people who are the best in the world at the thing they do, which is the magic.
Yep.
And then we go recruit them. First of all, we don't ask people to come. We don't post it and hope they show up. It's like, who's the best person in the world to go do the thing that we need done? And then we go recruit them and we get them. And the intended formula there is that 1 + 1 = 3.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be 1 + 1 = 2. You don't have to accept the way that the industry tells you should do things, or how it's always been done, or the only way you know how to do it.
Yeah.
Because when you really get alignment and stack the scales in your favor with magic, then not only is it fulfilling as hell, but what's more unstoppable than, like, what would that even be? The Captain Planet folks, right? Like, when our powers combine, then Captain Planet pops out. And I just think that's almost like unconventional wisdom. Or maybe it's a bit too abstract for someone when you're in the mode of just in it. Kind of back to your point of being
The everyday MSP every day, the things they do every day, all the answers are there.
Yeah.
There is no hidden, oh wow, I got to go figure this out for myself. That's called ignorance. Ignorance means you don't know better, right?
Right.
Stupid only happens after you know better and don't do it.
Yeah.
But ignorance, I think, stops a lot of people. And I never say that there's an answer for everything, because there's a 5% thing out there that automatically puts you at the top of the game. For the 20, it was the idea of a group. You make everybody look the same, and then roll up.
Yeah.
Nobody had an answer to that because nobody had ever done it before.
Right.
And so I never stifle the 5%. But you can be 95% great. Because all the answers to 95% of everything is out there if you're willing.
Yeah.
And you're able to look beyond. Most MSPs are engineers, and engineers think they know everything.
Yeah. And they have
or they can figure it out.
Right. The thing that I always observed was, because they think, and most of the time can figure it out, technically, they fall victim to this: just because I have the capability doesn't mean you have the capacity.
Yep.
And something else I've heard you talk about in the past that I think can be pretty helpful too is your discipline and your focus on how you approach initiatives for the year.
Yeah.
And if I remember correctly, it's through this lens of what is the one thing that you must accomplish, and then you are all in on that one thing until.
Yeah, because people tend to rabbit or rabbit or whatever that is, right?
Right.
Where if you can focus your business down to one thing, and when you have a big business, it's not you doing the one thing; it's a lot of people doing their one thing, their one focus.
Yeah.
But that's how you really fix things, instead of putting a piece of paper and writing 50 goals on it.
Sure.
That needs 700 things to line up before you hit them. It is pure craziness. At one point in our company, the one thing was the help desk. Help desk is the hardest thing we've ever built in my entire life. It's the hardest thing. Why? Because we want it to be incredible. We want it to be really good. It wasn't really good in the beginning.
Right.
And I'll say this: I appreciate all the MSPs that stuck with us through the hard, because now it's paying off for all of us, right? But it was hard.
Yeah.
Because it had never been built before, where you took all these MSPs, got on the same platform, but I knew you had to line PSAs up. Why? Because tickets you want to line up.
Right.
You want both ends to know what's going on at any given time, and It took a lot of work to get that there. But that was the one thing when I hired Ken Pico. That's the one thing, his one focus. I said, that is what you do. And Ken Pico is our COO.
Yeah.
But that one thing got fixed.
Yeah.
Help desk is incredible now. Now we go to the next one thing. And so, again, it's easier to work on one thing than 10.
Yeah. When you go through the process of identifying the one thing or making the decision around the one thing,
Yep.
do you have an association or a relationship with time in relation to the one thing, or is it this is the thing and it's untime bound because you don't put the artificial constraint?
I think you always put time on it, because if you don't bind it to time, nobody thinks it's the one thing.
Sure. Got it.
It's just another thing.
Yeah.
I think you put limits. I think you have quarterly one things and yearly one thing, and it's easy to identify. You want more sales? Make it your one thing.
Right.
You want better service to your end client? Make that the one thing. You want a better help desk? Make that the one thing.
Yeah.
If you want better trained technicians, that's got to be the one thing. And so, in the life of a business, you kind of feel,
Yeah.
where's the pain?
Right.
It's no different than your body. If your foot hurts,
Yeah.
there's no sense in going and getting a manicure,
Right.
because you think, well, maybe that'll make me feel better.
Yeah.
Go to the doctor and get your foot fixed, man.
Yep.
Instead of, well, it might be in my mind. It's not in your mind.
Yeah.
Your foot, that damn foot hurts.
Right.
And so one thing just makes it really easy to manage.
Sure. And like black and white accountability too, right? Because it's the
100%.
one thing that either is or is not going to be fixed,
Yeah,
or is or not going to be succeeded.
There's no in between or out of bounds.
Right.
It either got fixed or not. And it's okay to say, okay, this is your one thing for this quarter. At the end of that quarter, it's not quite there, but you see progress.
Sure.
Keep it the one thing.
Right. Yeah. Don't context.
Don't
switch
digress.
Just the,
You cannot move to the next thing until the one thing.
Yeah.
And everything is about one. You did this. This is great now. Now let's move to the.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. And I think my experience in solving things, again, out of all that time in leadership as well, is one pattern I witnessed was that we oftentimes feel like we've solved the problem when we made the decision,
Yeah.
rather than when we've solved through the problem. Now, whether that's hiring a person, it's like, okay, great, help desk is fixed now that Ken's here, versus, well, what did setting that up for success look like about the one thing after Ken was hired? And we just don't spend our time thinking through the true solving part, because we're off to like the next thing already, because we feel as though we've made the decision. I don't know if you've experienced that or have seen that, or
It's easy to judge when it's one thing. Think about this for a minute. It's okay for leadership to change their mind.
yeah,
This is something everybody I think needs permission for it to be okay. If you make a decision that's not great, just realign it and fix it.
yeah,
Ego keeps us from doing that. Well, I made this decision. This is what we're gonna.
right,
Like I said, ego's the most expensive thing a human being owns. It'll cost you your wealth. It'll cost you your family. It'll cost you everything, depending on where your ego goes. And nobody is an ego-free zone, right?
sure, yeah,
But have ego in your magic,
yeah.
because then you take pride in that magic. You take pride in how it works, how it does it, and all that stuff. Take pride in the thing, not the thing.
Yeah. What did it take for you to truly realize what your magic was, so that you could either delegate or outsource or abandon the pieces that weren't your magic anymore?
I've known my magic since I was a kid.
Yeah.
I'm a people person.
Yeah.
I mean, even young age, if any kind of fundraiser or anything happened, I mean, they always wanted me to do it because I was the best at doing it. But not just that. My dad was very, man, he was strategic with us kids. He all my brothers and sisters have drive.
Yeah.
Why? Although my parents had comfortable money, not wealthy, not
Sure.
very comfortable money, my dad really made us work for things we really wanted. Which, when I was 8, 9 years old, I had my first business.
Yeah.
You know, and a lot of people say, well, what kind of business can you have at 8 or 9? Come to Propel and I'll tell you. No, but I did. And then how they were created and stuff, because my dad didn't, like, I had a lawn mowing business when I was a little bit later, when I was big enough to have one.
Yeah.
It's not like I asked my dad, hey, will you go buy me a riding lawnmower, a push lawnmower, an edger? Weed eaters didn't exist back then, by the way. I'm dating myself. People are like, oh shit, you mean they're weed eaters haven't been around for 100 years? No, they have not. But so how do you do it? You get creative. Me, saw a riding lawnmower sitting in the trash. I knew my dad could fix anything.
Yeah.
So I asked the people if I could have it, and of course they laughed at me, it's in the trash.
Yeah.
But I knew my dad would ask when I got home where I got it and how I procured it, and well, maybe they just took a break and went in to have something to drink while they were mowing the yard. And
Sure.
my dad taught us from a young age, lying is like the worst sin of all. And so I got a riding lawnmower, I got a push lawnmower out of the trash, I got an edger out of the trash, took it home, and my dad helped me fix them.
Yeah.
And then I had a business. If there's a will, there's a way. It doesn't matter to me. The thing I hate worst in life is people that come up with excuses of why they can't when they had the ability.
Yeah, one of the things I'm hearing you say too is, again, one of those characteristics of observation, but a willingness to ask for help, right, is a huge unlock.
Think about it.
Yeah.
If you have a 100-pound thing to move, you can either throw your back out or ask for help. That's life.
Yeah. And the thing about that same feeling that prevents someone from asking for help is the same undermining feeling that forces you to feel like you're going to fail, which is the same underlying feeling.
It's a vicious cycle, right?
And so no matter which label you put on it or which way you try to relate to it, it's all human and it's all relatable. But again, the formula has been proven over and over again. It just takes something else you talk about a lot is just being willing enough to be bold, which then is followed by action. Right?
Yeah, and I would say, you know, there'll be some MSPs out there, I can tell you now, that without fail it'll happen. Sure. Somebody will say, well, if I could get help, you haven't called my phone number. Because I'm telling you, I am open. And I have, and not just people inside my group, I have people at least 3 or 4 or 5 times a month that'll reach out to me and say, hey, can I just get some time? I give them an hour of my time, most precious asset I own on the face of the earth. You cannot pay me enough money for that hour I give you. I give it because I really want people to be successful. It's and I'll be open. If somebody wants to know how Tim got there, I'll tell them.
Yeah, right. And
there's plenty out there for all of us.
Yeah, that was about maybe halfway through the journey where one of my CEOs gave me growth mindset as a book, but also a philosophy to understand, right? Growth mindset versus fixed mindset was huge, which then basically preceded my sales career, which is where I did away with scarcity level thinking as well, right? And moved to abundance. And those two arcs were so necessary, but they're like a double flywheel too, where they just they catch together, and anything's possible.
I think probably the biggest book that's had the most impact on my life outside the Bible is the 4 Agreements. It's only about this thick. But if you can cultivate in your mind to live by those 4 things, it's unreal how your life changes, because then all of a sudden you have permission and all the other things to expand the you.
Yeah.
You being, if I connect to you, I've expanded my you. Right?
Yeah.
At Vision this year, I'm doing a session called U Squared. Something completely new out of the box that I think moves the needle for every human being.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, it's going to be nuts. But yeah.
Yeah.
What about you? Biggest book, biggest impact book.
Biggest impact book. I think I referenced it earlier, and maybe it solidified 2 things. it would be Laws of Success by Napoleon Hill, because there were so many practical and time-tested mindsets, ideologies, applicable ways to execute. It changed the way that I thought, it changed the way that I planned, it changed the way that I built my groups, my people.
Yeah.
It validated that masterminds were real. It allowed me to feel some magic with, manifestation actually working.
Yeah.
Which was really the whole idea to paper, to tangible reality. Then the second one, I think, was one of the first sales books I ever read when I moved to sales after tech, was by Brian Tracy. And I had always heard from the tech people about the Pareto principle, where it was the 80-20 rule, but the opening chapter of this book, and I forget the exact name, but it's one of his originals. So it was old as well. But he doubled down on that and looked at it as the top 4%. So in every role, in every career, in every industry, there are basically the 1 + 1 = 3 people, right? The asymmetric upside folks. And they didn't walk out of the womb that way either. So they, generally speaking, figured it out and unlocked it. And his point then is, if the 80-20 rule is accurate, then so is the top 4% if you just double it down, 80-20 again. And so when I, saw that and read it through a sales context, I understood maybe one of the things you pointed out earlier too, where it's like, it's you versus you anyway. So who are you going to become to get there, right? And that was a long lesson I continue to learn, because, and I mentioned it in the panel we did on growth. Is most of the time the person that I needed to be successful in whatever the role was I was, is not the person that I was when I started. And so I had a choice every single day. I either am going to become the person I need to be successful in this role or not. And those two books, I think, over the course of maybe the two big arcs in my career, were kind of unlocks and became bedrock.
Here's a killer thought. Pareto principle. Obviously, the 20 is built off the 80-20 rule.
Yeah.
A lot of people for a lot of time said, do you have 20 companies yet? It had nothing to do with it.
Right.
Here's a real cool thing to ponder. Because if you look out there, I think 84% of MSPs never surpass $1 million, five. Okay? 80%. The other 20% is the movers and shakers, is what we would say.
Sure.
Are you destined to be an 80%er, or is it a choice?
Yeah.
Really cool way to look at it.
Right.
Is it a choice?
Yeah.
Because if you look at me, I was an 80%er. Why? It's a little bitty, when I started, little bitty MSP.
Yeah. Right.
How did I master the 20% being an 80%er? Following the 20%ers.
Yeah.
Listening to those, it's kind of wild that a 120-year-old book had an impact on you, which means basic fundamentals of people and success has not changed for that 120 years.
Right. Yeah.
And people say, I don't know how to do it.
I caught myself reading. It took me a long time. 1, I don't read quickly. 2, it's a huge ass book. And 3, I wasn't reading it to read the book. I was reading it to extract the value from it.
Yeah.
And there were so many times where I'd get a half a page through and I'm like, holy shit. And I'd journal on it for, a day and a half to really unpack it and bake it in. And you're right. Like, the examples that he's giving you are of the names that, built the U.S. essentially, right? You got Henry Ford and Carnegie, and I think Rockefeller's referenced several times. So it's like, okay, even if I try to emulate any one of those people, if I fail, which would be stopping along the way, I'm going to be in a hell of a lot different place than I am if I never aspired to try. And to your point, that is generally the thought I had when the words were jumping off the page. It's like, how is this so applicable? Because it's written even in, 120-year-old language, and you're like, I can feel it. It's like reading the wrong version of the Bible, right? Or maybe not wrong, but a different version, and you're just like, holy crap.
Different translation.
Like that. Yeah. And that's how that book read, which is another reason why it was so dense to get through, but it was so fundamentally pure.
See, I love the thought, because you talk about Carnegie, you talk about Rockefellers, you talk about really what would be considered in the United States bellwether families, very, very, very wealthy. Most human beings in the United States think they'll never get there.
Yeah.
They have no plan. You can become a Rockefeller family.
Yeah.
You can do it.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, you can do it. I know for a fact you can do it.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
and in the world of wealth, they talk about new money, old money. How do you wash new money to make it look old? Only time.
Yeah.
You might not. Here's the cool thing that I loved about Rockefellers and DuPonts, all those guys. A generation decided that I'm going to change the trajectory of my family forever.
Yeah.
Which means ego had to drop, selfishness had to drop,
Yeah.
tons of things had to drop, right? And none of them saw it in their generation, really. Not the amassed wealth that is still amassing today.
Yeah.
It reminds me of the, I'll say it wrong, but I'll say it anyway, the El Duomo or the Domo in Milan. Plans were put together for this thing 600 years previous. They're still building it. 600 years. So the guy that architected in the beginning
Sure.
never got to even see remotely the finished product. The next generation didn't remotely get to. The next generation didn't remotely get to. The next generation. Back then, your average lifespan was 40 to 50 years old. So you're talking about 12 generations to even see
Yeah.
the real thing that this thing took on. And it is magnificent. I mean, it is one of the coolest things I've ever seen in my entire life. It's one of my favorite places to go now.
Yeah.
I love history. The backwards to the forward,
Right.
because history always writes the future.
Yeah. The elements I even hear in that story about that is a lot of the principles, in case people haven't extracted it for themselves, of what you shared, which is you have to know where you're going, so you need vision.
Yep.
You have to have belief that it's possible. Ideally, you figure out where your magic is, and then you identify the areas that you go find the magical people to fill all the aspects. And then maybe to the point of that last story is really consistent action over time.
Yeah.
Right, so action period, but consistent action over time, discipline, and never wavering from the real goal, perhaps too, because I think that's another trap that people fall into.
Yeah.
Is you set the goal, you start marching towards it, and then either something shinier comes up, or it gets too hard, or you just insert any reason and you deviate. So then you end up in that failure to launch with all your ideas versus.
That's why you do the one thing.
Yeah.
Keeps you from going to all those little side pocket things.
Yeah.
If you concentrate, build something great. If you're a visionary like I am, a dreamer,
Yeah.
I got 50 ideas a day. They could all be viable businesses. But the problem is another biblical principle. A house divided against itself will surely fall. A mind divided against itself, no, you cannot be successful with a divided mind.
Yeah.
Well, I think I'll do this today. Well, shit, I like this business idea. Well, I like this one. I like, right? A mind divided
Yeah.
destroys most dreams.
Yeah. I saw that always unfold as the illusion of effort, like effort not equaling outcome. Or progress or process.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I need to think about the right way to ask the right question for what will become the theme of this show. But considering it is MSP Confessions, and considering, to your point even, you started as every other MSP did, which is as small as 2.
Yeah.
And you've grown to as large as, however large it is now. How many folks you got underneath the hood?
400 or 500.
Okay, so, right, there's not a single MSP out there, except for maybe 2, that could say, right? Because they're beyond that. What would be the Tim Conkle confession? Like the deepest lesson learned, the hardest item to overcome, the most and it wouldn't even be a painful lesson, right? But it's that stuff that no one talks about.
Yeah.
That really makes not you relatable to them, but helps everyone that's in that seat know, holy shit, it's not just me.
I kind of think humans fall in two categories: today people and tomorrow people. That's what I think. If I'm honest, I think very far in the future. I've talked to you even about my 1,000-year thoughts. But realistically in business, I typically tend to think 10 years in the future. So if you think 10 years in the future, where's the hole?
Okay. From
Today. Today, tomorrow.
Right.
So if you're like me and you're a future thinker, a dreamer that dreams far forward, you have to surround yourself with today people. If you're a today person and you want to be super successful, you've got to find a 10-year guy or a their guy, tomorrow guy.
Right.
If you're a today guy, you've got to think in terms of tomorrow. And this transcends business. This is almost everything. You know, coupling people together.
Yeah.
If we all thought about 10 years, we'd never get there. Because we'd never do the work in the today work to get there. And so I'm a eternal dreamer. I'm an eternal optimist. Business-wise, I dream 10 years ahead, which means everything very, very close is dim. So I hire very detailed people. Most people would call it Tim flies by the seat of his pants, but really I don't. I'm very regimented. Crystal, when I started dating her, she was like, "Oh my God, you do everything every day the exact." But it's because I don't think of today. I'm thinking way out yonder. In business, that's how I think. Probably 10 years, maybe 12. In life, I think in terms of 1,000. It's just the way my brain works. So surround yourself. That was the hardest thing because a high performer thinks he can do everything. Once you categorize what your high performance is in and categorize the low performance things that you have, because I low perform on a lot of stuff. The cool thing is I surround myself with the people that make up the difference. And that is probably the hardest thing to figure out and do, because you can't have an ego if you're thinking 10 years forward and you need stuff to happen today. Because you'll never let someone today make a decision. Now, you hire people that buy your dream, that buy your vision and say, "Oh my God, I want to be on that bus." Because then they'll naturally make the right decisions to get there. They need the 10-year direction. They need to understand where we're going.
They're not the 10-year person.
No, you need both pieces. And like I was talking about earlier, with Rockefeller and those things, I am going to create a Rockefeller DuPont type family because I'm the generation that said, "I'll do it." No other generation behind me said, "You know what? I'm going to make the Conkle name synonymous with very successful people." And take 1,000 years. I'll never see it. I don't think. Depends on what happens on the other side. Maybe we get an eyeglass, we get to look in and see. But I don't think I'll get to see it. Now I'm going to get to see the beginnings of success, which means now, just like a business, I have to train the next generation to think the way I do. So I've got to find in that chain of my name, which of my kids is the 10-year kid and which of my kids are a today kid. And then start training them. And then tell them the why. I was at a wealth management thing, and one of the really high up people in it asked me the question, "Why do you care about your family 1,000 years from now?" And I said, "Because nobody else will." Somebody has to start. Same with business. You have to start. You have to start. You have to have a plan. And I'm a big proponent of 10-year plans, because that's really where the rubber meets the road. 10 years from now, I mean, 20 we started it. 10 years in, I turned the magic on, but it was all in the plan. You can go back to the original whiteboard where I did this. I put on their Better Together. I put on their exactly what it looks like. So if you mix a plan with patience,
Yeah.
because it takes patience, you come out really well.
Yeah.
So
Awesome. Well, thank you, Tim. Thank you for
Yeah,
coming
that's
on.
great, man.
If people want some more of you, where's the best place to find you?
the best place to find me is just go to the 20.com and you can find me. You can email me. You can. Again, I'm pretty open, and I'm not talking about people reaching out to me, but I think in general terms, if you're not exactly seeing your company be what you want it to be, find somebody that's there. You know, you don't have to ask for mentorship. You know, just say, hey, every now and then can I call you and just tell you where I'm at, and get your idea,
Yeah.
because true visionaries are rare.
Yeah.
Dreamers that dream 10 years in the future are very, 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 very rare, but they can really move the needle for a lot of people. Yeah.
Yeah. And I've never, to your point, it took me a long time to have the courage to ever ask anyone, right? And ever since I had the courage the first time, there isn't a single one that I've ever asked. And it could be a small ask or a big ask, but every single one of them has said yes with a smile. And I think it's just a matter of...
It's just human. They care, right?
Right. Yeah. So,
No, but this was great, man. I always love doing your podcast because I think you pull out things that nobody else does.
yeah, I appreciate it.
It's really cool. It's really cool.
Yeah. It comes out of the PTSD of having lived it, but also reflecting through it for so long, right?
Yeah,
so, yeah. I appreciate your time.